Okay. Calling the meeting to order at 3 o'clock. Is there any agenda changes that you know of? Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to change up on the agenda? Okay, all right. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Old business, policy review, behavior threat assessment, new deadline on October 1st, pending legislative rule.
It's in the omnibus bill that's up for today. But I'd be shocked if it didn't get done for October 1st.
If it did or did not.
No, I'd be shocked if it wasn't moved. That's not like it. It will be moved to October 1st, once each 40 goes through.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw the opening this morning, so.
Okay.
Right between the tea leaves.
All right. So we will just.
So this is, I just want to give a site, this is the latest one, it was updated, I think I said to you last time it hadn't been updated, this one with May 23rd is the latest update. From the AOE that was adjusted, technical adjustments in there for schools, I couldn't tell you exactly where it was adjusted. But this is the new one, after they work with the whole school district to take care of a few adjustments.
Okay. So what do you think?
Well, no, I think it's one you could go with, because
This is
before
gonna
we
be-
didn't have this.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the latest one that was adjusted after our last meeting. Remember our last meeting, we had the one that was what, October of last year?
Yeah,
Or
it's
something
really
like that.
long too.
Really long, and
Yeah.
so they've shortened this up quite a bit. And this is the new version that we were waiting for.
Okay.
And they're gonna give us to October 1st, but that doesn't preclude you from going forward right now if you wanted to.
Okay.
I don't know what more you would add, 'cause you've been staying on top of this.
Yeah, I mean, if the subcommittee's good with this, it would just go in front of the
Go in
board,
front of the
most
board.
likely in August. So we'd still be able to meet the October deadline.
Okay.
I don't see anything out of the ordinary in it.
This has been reviewed and reviewed again.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I don't see any issues for us here, we can have the behavior threats. Sorry, that's what we've been living here with for like 3 weeks now.
Construction, okay. You want-
We're painting,
How's that
repairing
going?
walls and carpeting everywhere. so.
exciting.
Yeah, it's only 25 years in the making, so.
Okay.
It'll be great.
It will be. So, the committee therefore recommends that we bring it before the full board at the August. Student club policy, the model the CE 20. I reviewed that, there's no issues in that, we just did that. November. And C22 is recommended. And I know I had put out a rewrite of it. Did anyone have any?
Oh, sorry, I wrote the wrong one.
That's the one I came up with.
Sorry, I wrote the wrong one.
And it is essentially the same.
What, do you remember where the difference is?
It's just, like, I gave emphasis more. I just included the language, religious, philosophical, political clubs and purposes. The equal access policy part of it is not included in the. Is this the,
That's
School board.
That's school board piece of it.
and I don't know if anyone has any. Because we already have a policy for, school facilities. Which we just did. I don't really have anything to add to the School Board Association one.
So you know one of the ones that BFA would have a problem with, that's in the School Boards Association, is the non-curriculum related groups that are run by students. They always want an advisor with every student club. It's,
With school staff created by students.
where if I was in all school-sponsored athletic clubs, I'm on the first page, an activity as well as student-run, non-curriculum related groups. So that phrase, student-run, one of the things they've done a really good job of for over the years is that there's always a faculty sponsor with any club, and that can be interpreted as a student's only club, but there isn't a faculty advisor.
Well, further on here, it says student-run non-curriculum is monitored by school staff, and that's how it is now.
Well, B though says student-run
The
non-curricular.
other related groups.
Could you just take out student-run? You
That's
want
not
some level, you want
There has to be some level
an
of
advisor.
advisor.
I don't, because it is here, and then it is here that it says it's monitored by.
For A, but when we get to B, if school permits a student-run non-curricular, we usually don't permit that.
Why wouldn't we?
For a lot of liability reasons, we want to make sure that adults with a group of kids that we're going to have responsibility over.
Okay, I just wonder, so I know it goes back to a student group, right? And so I wonder if those groups that are student-led fall more under just the community use, because it's not a school-sponsored group, right?
So
So
we
it
have-
has to be monitored by someone
has to be an
from
adult.
outside the school.
Has to be an adult.
Right, so
Yeah.
that it's like you're just providing the space.
Right.
For the group to meet, but that they're monitored by someone, who's not affiliated with the school, unless someone affiliated with the school wants to donate their time to be there as a community member, right? So it feels,
That's how it is now,
Right, but they're not
but they,
a district responsibility.
right,
So if I can't even think of the name of the group that does basketball,
Pepsi.
outside of basketball year, during the winter season.
Oh, AAU.
AAU, thank you. If AAU uses, they have adults that your
Right.
facilities use, and they have adults who will be there supervising the kids.
That's not during, that's like after,
So we have student-led groups that are part of the district, then we have district people after school, and we pay them to do that. If they're not being paid by us, and it's not one of our groups, and it's someone from the outside, that if there's only minors there, we say you must have an adult present.
so it's not technically a club, it's a community-sponsored activity that happens in the building.
Yeah,
That's the difference between
Yeah.
the two, right? So like a school-sponsored club needs to be monitored by a staff member versus a club that wants to use, an outside club that wants to use the facility. I think we
Yeah,
have to
Boy
distinguish
Scouts.
between the two,
Boy Scouts. would be
right?
another-
So
distinguishing between the two is where we're stuck in this policy, I think, potentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think it still can be a club, it's just not a school-sponsored club, it's just a club that happens to use the space. But still needs adult supervision from the group that organizes the club.
Unless they can get a sponsor from the school.
Right.
Yeah.
So
If I'm correct, currently, the FCA club
Yeah,
that meets in the mornings, they were just given the
Space.
opportunity to advertise. And that, you're saying that that shouldn't be,
I'm not saying anything about the advertising.
Oh.
What I'm saying is the district does
Or
not
on
sponsor them.
no, I know that,
So,
I
yeah,
get
no,
that.
but, so, and
To me, this reads that they're able to use the announcement for whatever club it is able to use the address system, bulletin boards, and that kind of thing. As an equal basis as all other non-curriculum student-run groups. So I don't see what,
Is there no adult that is there with them?
no, there is.
Oh, so would it be a matter of just changing that from student run to? Would it make a difference if there's someone over 18 with them and we could phrase it so if there's an adult?
so, yeah, I guess for me, I don't know why we're calling them student-run non-curriculum related groups.
Mhm.
I would just call them outside groups.
Well, that's what I was trying to distinguish. I don't think that club that meets at school falls under this policy.
Yeah.
I think it falls under this policy.
Me too.
Because it's not sponsored or affiliated with the school, and only ones that fall under the club policy, that one falls under this policy for me. And that's why I was just trying to distinguish between the two. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I feel like we have to be able to separate that one group into this, because that's really what it is. It's a community use of the facility for a club that happens to involve students who go to the school. So I think we need to just, when we're talking about this policy, we have to be only talking about the ones that are school sponsored. Which that one, I mean, my understanding isn't, right? Is
No.
that, okay, that's, I just wanna make sure I'm
Yeah.
correct in my thinking on that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing that you're trying to get from Marianne,
It was, you're saying it a different way.
Marianne, you wanna let them have access to like the bulletin boards and PA system, that's the end goal. I mean, is that something we wanna have
In the facility.
the facilities policy saying like as approved by administration? I wouldn't wanna say all clubs have that.
So, yeah, gets to be a really slippery slope. And once we do that, we can't judge which groups
Right.
get to advertise.
Mhm.
And it gets really extreme from the way I've been taught. That what you can allow, what you can say and what you can't say, that we can't make a judgment on that. So what it's better to do, and this is what I've been advised, is that there's an area for all outside groups to post. And not have it in all the announcements, digital, we don't do PA announcements. As a group, we do them in the morning for a morning greeting, but it's not about clubs. It's just, good morning, say the pledge of allegiance, today's lunch is, and the kids say a joke. And that's at the pre-K at the high school, there's none of that.
That's good.
It's just, it's just like, oh my word. And I'm a non-PA system person myself, but that's just me.
So there's a bulletin board in each school for outside organizations.
Yeah, but I don't know that, I don't know how much the board wants to direct that.
Yeah. Student persons do not direct, conduct, control. Okay, so what is, Bill, you done anything to say?
Not yet.
You got anything?
The subjective part of it makes it tough, because you could argue for and against a lot of different clubs, and there's a lot of clubs I wouldn't want using our schools.
I agree with that. As a non-policy board member, as a parent, there's probably a lot of clubs that I don't want my children being exposed to. The world's rather politically charged right now.
Yeah.
I think schools should be focused on academics, and I'd rather not introduce, it's already everywhere else in the world. I'd rather
We
have
don't need it.
a safe space where they can go learn rather than a place that could potentially become a hostile environment based on different things going on.
Yeah.
So it is recommended to take B.
I would get rid of 2 and do what Karen suggested. I think Karen's right on the money.
It does,
For non-student groups.
yeah,
It's,
just say that right here too, that this policy only applies
right,
to 1 and 2 and not the non-community.
right, but I would just say it's part of our school facilities, or this board has determined years ago, I agree with it, is that our facilities are open to use by the community.
Mhm.
And please do use them.
Okay,
Do all of our clubs now fall under curriculum related? Or would we have to leave part 2 in for their non-curriculum related groups? Do you even want
it does really spell it out in here though, that it says that if a group or club is organized or run by like it falls under the other policy.
So to answer your
The
question,
first
Jess, I'd have to go do an audit to be sure. With the transferable skills, they talk to them there, and knowing, the standards in different content areas to what I can think of off the top of my head. I can't think of one that isn't, but I don't wanna say that definitively, because I haven't done an audit.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I don't think that's stuff at the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, the transferable skills probably cover a lot.
Yeah. And their advocacy, civics, communication, problem solving.
Current clubs, yearbook, honor society, what happens here with that one?
That's one for, kids that, it's really trying to instill belonging for all kids. And that it also mental illness awareness. They do a really good job of that.
DSA, is that considered a curriculum?
So it'd be part of the social studies curriculum, where there's different, the Gay Straight Alliance, that's part of what's under the National Social Studies Standards, and transferable skills would be about learning about different cultures.
Club interactive drama, jazz, robotics, Mercury. All right, so if we move it to any student-run non-curriculum will move to facilities use. So we have to amend it.
And what I want to check with what you have here, Marion, it may be fine, I just want to throw the equal access by our attorney.
Okay.
Just to make sure we're not doing anything. It may be great. I don't have to go separate
Okay.
But I think with the Equal Access Act, like that, what we have right here, that's like, if we stick to that, and that's what we say for our employment and everything else, we're actually shorter into the speeds of like we abide by the Equal Access Act. Usually covers a lot of that, but I want him to read it, and if he says we're fine, or if there's something different, I'll bring it back, but I don't. That's usually a big piece of everything.
I mean, I prefer the recommended one, just because it doesn't call out, like, religious, philosophical, political. It's just open, like whether you are school sponsored or you're not school sponsored. Just leave it broad.
So if you have that just run through and then in August, we
Come back,
can
yeah,
come back and just
Yeah.
finalize it.
yeah, I'll have him look at the whole thing.
We were okay with that?
I've just got one comment, I guess, under number 1B1.
Which one are you
Where?
on?
Sorry, I'm on the,
Template?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
One what?
1B1,
I'm sorry, where?
second page, 1B1.
On this one, yeah.
It just says activities or clubs that meet one of the following will be considered curriculum related. The first one is subject matter of the student or non-curricular related group is a club. It's actually taught or will be taught in a regularly scheduled course. If we're going to consider that under the community use of school facilities, that group, doesn't that complicate things if now you're indicating that they should have within this section?
That phrase of student run non might be,
Right.
that might just have to be stricken.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just sounds like it complicates things and that
Mm,
we're back to
student
figure
run.
out which policy they would fall under.
Yeah, so it might,
Subject matter of
curriculum
groups or
related
clubs.
is actually taught or will be taught in regular, okay.
Which is what it says in the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Check this. Check. If we change this in each other.
Okay. 801, board member conflict of interest.
Okay, so they're very similar. The places where they're different is under the heading, so it goes policy and definitions are the same. So the VSBA sample policy lists them as in the next section as administrative responsibilities, and Maple Run calls it implementation. So we'll have to decide where we stand with that. And then number 1 under the Maple Run policy is a Maple Run policy only, that board members will be familiar with the VSBA or similar code of ethics and will observe their provisions. That is not in the sample policy. It also says that in Maple Run, they'll sign this annually. Is that a thing that happens? Okay, perfect. The other place that they differ is on the Maple Run, the next section, avoiding conflicts, is broken out, whereas in the sample policy, it's just part of the numbering system. So this section, they just broke it out separately. Everything that's in it is the same. It's just whether we like the idea of avoiding conflicts as a separate header here. And then the only other place that they differ under Maple Run is in that avoiding conflict section under 2C, there is, in the very last one, I know this sounds weird, but it says, in addition, so it talks about the public finding that conflict of interest is supported by the evidence, that part's the same, but after the comment, in addition to disqualifying him or herself from voting or otherwise participating in the board deliberations or decision, that was already stated above, but that's just an extra section to that sentence, which I think is fine. So the only question that I have and whether people, which people prefer is the header. And I don't know if anyone has any preference to it. I don't necessarily have a preference, I think I prefer the word administrative responsibilities over implementation. I think it just is saying like, this is your role. So my recommendation would be to change that header to administrative responsibilities, but I'm curious what people are thinking about whether they want the avoiding conflict section to stand out on its own like that. It's exactly the same in there, it's just whether we want that to be its own section. And whether there's any weight to making it, does that feel important to have it be its own section or not? That's my wonder. Does anyone have a strong feeling about that?
I don't have a strong opinion. I always like headers because.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah. So I guess my recommendation would be to change that to administrative responsibilities from implementation and to leave avoiding conflicts as a separate section, breaking it up that way. Those would be my two recommendations. And leave everything else the same under legal run. Does anyone have a?
We're just certainly working, I mean,
Does that make sense to you? Thank you.
so if you make those changes, we'll bring it before the board, the August meeting.
Thank you.
All right, C51, weapons. Joanna is not here, and I saw your side letter. Oh, that's a different one. Never mind. Was there anything, Bill, that you found out differently from
On the weapons?
on the weapons one?
No, I don't think so. I like it, I like just to have it, frankly. Even though BSD, just taking it away. Because I think it's good to say that there are other types of weapons besides a gun.
Yeah.
And I like that it has a may, because then you have a second grader who comes in with a pocket knife. Doesn't mean they need to come to the board. We deal with it. Talk to mom and dad about making sure things are kept at home.
Yeah. So Joanna not being here, do we just,
You could check on it in August again, but
does anyone have, I like this policy as it's written with that.
I'm fine with moving it forward as
Yeah.
is.
Sorry, Joanna. Moving on, B3, alcohol, drug.
yeah. This is where she was concerned about the prescription drugs being used illegally. And I feel that as long as we're doing it as medication and we know that Bill needs to have an inhaler twice a day and that's done under adult supervision. we're okay. But if you're disputing, pick a drug that is a prescription drug, but you're not supposed to have it.
Right.
It's illegal.
I think your attorney,
Yeah.
covered that one.
Yeah.
So we're good with the current Maple Run.
I think so, and I believe this workplace covers the staff as well. It's not just,
Yeah.
you know, but if I said, hey, Mary Ann, take these and they're a prescription drug and you should be, that's an unsafe workplace.
I don't even
Not
take
saying you
Advil.
should.
I don't take any Advil either. All right, okay. Tobacco. Is that all covered under the? I think
Yeah,
that was also,
that was another part about, Joanna had a big question about,
adding tobacco to the,
well, we're talking about for staff as well. And so, and it says right here, under this B3, it's policy of blank, you know, no employee, volunteer, or worksite will unlawfully manufacture, distribute, dispense this alcohol, nor shall any employee.
so that's covered in there.
Well, it doesn't have a lot of nicotine in this one. And that's one of the things that she was concerned about. But drug means any narcotic, pollution, so.
We do have a tobacco policy though,
Yeah,
separate, right?
right.
So do you remember what the?
and we're tobacco free, all campuses are to be tobacco nicotine free.
So if there's a tobacco policy, then tobacco doesn't need to be in the drug
I
policy.
don't think so.
That's what I think was the sort of
Right.
concern last time.
Yeah. I don't think so.
That makes
That's
sense.
me.
It feels like we're done.
Yeah. And I'm also a person of minimal policies, that's who I am. That's just my nature. I would ask you all to check that. That's just who I am.
Scary that this is minimal policies.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Go to Colchester? I'm serious, if you went to Colchester and looked at their policy, it's just lots of, but that's who they are. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, it's just what communities are and how communities want to operate. And I've operated in both.
I'm on your side with that one. So, you're done with old business? On to next steps. We are not meeting in July. So for August, do we want to pick what we want to do in August? Just looking at the recommended 821. Is that something anyone wants to? In B8,
I can do day 21.
B8, I could do B8 if that's on the list.
B8,
Sure.
Title 1, Title 9, sexual harassment policy.
So those, yeah, it was 2020, so we're at 25, so.
You like that one?
Title IX sexual harassment policy? Sure, I can take a look at
C21?
it. You can see 12?
Oh, C12, yep. Already did. Average class size, we just adopted that one.
That one also,
If they change,
484, is it 484?
Yeah, 454.
454, it was 310, that's sort of taken away as a
No.
policy, do you still
No,
get
you
all
can have
that?
a stricter one, it's stricter.
You can have stricter,
You
oh,
just can't- You can
okay.
have larger
it's
classes.
stricter and
So that
it
one,
won't be in effect. for-
right, probably,
This next
what's
school
the class size one effect date?
I don't know, I even though I read it on Saturday, I can't remember.
Oh, was it?
So the average class size was just updated in
Yeah.
November, so we don't.
So we on that one?
Wait and see. Parental involvement, EO1. I can do that one. No, if they were adopted, oh, no.
Yeah, I can tell you like FO3 and FO4, we just updated because we had to through statute.
Yeah.
Even though they say required there, we just did them last summer, or 2 summers ago, because they were required.
Non-discriminatory mascots and school brand.
Yeah, that was, thank you, legislature. On that year.
So is that something we should update, or?
I'm not sure you need to
3
update
years
it,
ago.
you can look at it, but I don't think there's anything different that's come out.
Mhm.
Because that is straight out of Vermont legislative action, that then created that policy.
So it looks like they're, unless I'm reading it wrong. Is that it?
That might be it for right now.
Oh,
And that might be a question, Marianne, I don't know, for the board, or what, because the big piece was to go through all the required and recommended policies and review them.
Right.
So that might
So
be
we could-
what you want to get from the board about what further work, we could start putting a schedule together, so there's a round robin for review of policies, because they should be reviewed every 5 years. But the heavy lift has been done by this group. And then, do we make a calendar of activities? Is there something the board wants the subcommittee to work on?
All right, so Karen, Jess, Bill, and I each have one.
Then I'll talk to the attorney, I've got 2 attorney questions.
Okay.
One around if we take 2 out of the model policy, and then having, your draft looked at and see whether there's anything there.
Okay.
That concerns.
All right. And that is August.
Yeah, sorry.
So what is the calendar? Is it third week or second week?
We've been doing the second Monday with a couple of exceptions. So the next, if we stick with the second Monday, it would be August 11th.
August 11th?
That works.
It works for you?
So we might have to just find a different location. Well, it'll be 3 o'clock, we'll be out of here. Yeah, because that's new staff orientation, but it'll work. It'll work, because in the morning, it may be in this room. But yeah, we got it.
Okay. Sounds good.
I believe we talked about that already. Okay,
That's too bad. All right, meeting is adjourned at 3:40.
thank you.